Ready, set, go. All right, so we've imported our image and now we need to actually make it so that we can maybe try to make this kind of Chuck Closey or make something close to Chuck Close. And so that's the assignment, is to try to make something similar to this or in that same kind of spirit. So what I was thinking of doing with this is taking this kind of image. I've already imported my image, but now I need to kind of get to that next step um, where I can break it down into little squares or make it into all these little bits. Right from the beginning here, I'm not going to do things on an angle. I'm not going to do it on that 45-degree angle or rotate them so they're diamond shaped, but I'm going to start with them just being completely across the screen, and I'll grid it out. It'll almost be like graph paper first. So that's the kind of my target for what I'm going for here. So in order to do something where I'm going to make repeated boxes all the way through, what I want to do is I'm going to use a for loop to do that. So let me quickly jump over here, and we'll make this short one just about making a for loop that's going to kind of cover my whole face and get me out of here. So what I'm going to do here is outside of my setup, I don't want to do it in my setup. Inside of my draw, I'm going to create a for loop. And you should have done this before in one of your earlier classes, but if you haven't, so I'm saying for, and then I'm going to start with my initial parameter, and then I'm going to say what my limit is, and then what the increment is as I go. I'm going to say I'm going to start off with, I'm going to call it x, and I'm calling it x because it's going to be the x value as I move here across each time. Remember, positive x starts here and goes that way. So I'm going to start this with x. Let's do x equals 1, because that way it's actually on the screen. If I pick 0, then it samples something there. It's going to be black. X equals 1, and then I'll say x is, as long as x is less than the width of whatever my screen is or what my image is. In this case, I know it's 400, so I'm going to pick 400, semicolon, and then I will do x, and then plus, and a lot of times you do these kind of for loops and you do just increment by 1 each time. In this case, I'm going to increment by, let's do 20 this time, because that'll give us a number of boxes as we go across. So I'll say increment plus equal 20. So that is the beginning of my for loop here. I need a curly brace and then what's going to happen inside of it. So here's the end of my end of for loop. And then inside of there, I want to have something happen. So let's start off with just a plain old rectangle. And that rectangle is going to be at x. And then let's see, what should our y be? We'll just make it go, I don't know, down 20, and then 20, 20, like that. And let's see what happens when we run that one. Here you can see I've now made a series of boxes that are going across the screen. I guess I could have started at 0 for this. That probably would have made more sense for my y. And you can see now I've created this box series going across. Now I could do 2 different loops. I could do a nested loop, one on top of the other. But in this case, I think what I want to do is I'm going to make another variable here. I'm going to make a variable called y. And I'm going to make y equal to 1. That'll be the variable that I'll add to as I go through. Let me zoom out here for a second so I can get to the right part of the code. And then inside of my draw function, I'm going to say y equals y plus, what's my step right now? My step's 20. So each time I do it, it's going to add 20 coming down this way. So let's see, I add 20. It's going to go all the way through and that. So now my new rectangles are going to start at the top. And as it goes through that for loop that I just created, it's going to step up 20 each time. And each time the draw runs, the entire draw function that's down here that is built in, every time that runs, it's going to add 20 to it. Let me run that one and see if it, there we go. So I've completely covered myself up, and now I feel so much better about myself. There is your basic for loop. Now let's do, in the next thing, let's actually color it. We'll sample the color and we'll color them all in. But right now what we have is we have it creating Each time it goes through the loop, it's doing a row this way, and each time it goes through the draw, which is itself a looping function that runs continuously, it's doing each of these rows as it goes down. So tune in next time for the next one, and here we go.